Okay, so we have a triangle. Alright, we have a triangle where we have given information, so let's go ahead and plug that in. So angle C is 49 degrees, B equals 12, and A equals 17. So the first thing we try to do is look for a way where we can use sine, the law of sines. And in this case, we cannot use the law of sines, because when you set up the proportions for the law of sines, then you are going to have for every single one at least 2 unknown values in your proportion, making it, not able to proportion and to solve. So we have to go to the law of cosine. And then the law of cosine, you have to have multiple different formulas to get your final law of cosine formula. First, you have to have your ratio for cosine, which is cosine equals A over H, meaning it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And then you have to have the Pythagorean theorem. And you can't have the Pythagorean theorem unless you have a right triangle. So what you have to do in this case is you have to create a right triangle since you do not have one. And the way you do that is by drawing a vertical line from the A down, creating 2 separate triangles, making 2 separate right triangles with 90-degree angles. So now you can use the Pythagorean theorem. So first we need to assign a value for the lines that we have created. So this line right here, we're going to call that H. Now this line over here, we're going to move this down, A equals 7. This line right here, we're going to call G. Now, since this whole line right here equals 7, we're going to have to say, now that we know that's G, we're going to say 7, this side equals 7 minus G. So now that you have all your values put in, you can now plug it into the formula. So you have your given value, so cosine of 49 degrees equals the adjacent value on this triangle. The adjacent value is G over the hypotenuse, which is 12. And then you put this over 1. Okay, and then you cross multiply and you get G times 1, G equals cosine of 49 times 12. And this is one of your formulas that you'll be using later. Now we have to do the Pythagorean theorem. And we are going to start with this triangle right here. So the Pythagorean theorem states that you have the 2 legs and you say 1 leg squared plus another leg squared equals your hypotenuse squared. So let's set that formula up. So you're going to have G squared plus H squared equals 12 squared. Now you want this formula to solve for H, so you have to rearrange it. So you're going to minus your G squared and put it over on this side, making the formula H squared equals 12 squared minus G squared. Alright, and then that's your other formula. Lastly, you have to do your other triangle. So let's set that up. So you have 7 minus G squared plus H squared equals C squared, which is the value you're trying to get. Now that you have all 3, you take this formula and you are now going to take the H and plug it in to your formula. Now you're going to get, we're just going to extend this out, so it's 7 minus g times 7 minus g plus this formula, 12 squared minus g squared equals c squared. Now you can FOIL these two. So you have your first, I'm just going to leave that as 7 squared. Your outer, which is minus 7g. Your inner, which is minus 7g. And your last, which is plus g squared. Then add it to 12, plus 12 squared minus g squared equals c squared. Now I'm going to actually put, I'm just going to rearrange this formula a little bit. So we're going to have 7 squared minus, instead of saying negative 49g, just say negative and then 2 parentheses 7g plus g squared plus 12 squared minus g squared equals c squared. Alright, now you have to take the other formula and plug that in for g as well. So you're going to be left with 7 squared minus 2 times 7 times your g, which is 12, and then the cosine of 49. And then do you notice that you have a plus g squared and a minus g squared? So those two are going to cancel out each other, and you're just going to be left with plus 12 squared equals c squared. Okay? And now all you have to do is just punch it into the calculator, which I'm going to do right now, and find your value here. And I'm just going to rearrange it to make it to where it's c squared equals 7 squared minus 2 times 7 times 12 times cosine of 49 plus 12 squared. And two things. You notice that this formula right here is actually the formula for the law of cosines. So the law of cosines derives from the Pythagorean theorem and all of your formulas that you got to get to this point. And plus c is what you were trying to solve for. So you plug it all in to your calculator and you get c squared equals 82.72. And then you just square root that number and you get 9.095. And that is your final answer. And that is how you derive the law of cosine.